So we can kind of do this a couple of ways. I can give you a little bit more of an in-depth presentation and talk about more of the stuff I showed last time. Otherwise, if people have specific questions that they want to ask, we can do that as well. Does anyone have a preference? Hey, Claire.
Hey, Christina.
Okay, well, I'll just share my screen and do like a mini presentation with you. I'm gonna let Claire introduce herself though, so you kind of all know who she is.
Hi guys, I'm Claire, as Christina mentioned. I'm one of the undergraduate research leaders here at the U. I'm currently going into my senior year as a mechanical engineering major. And I help around with the office. I help all new students kind of get into research, etc. As you'll find out, I'm very open. We always have office hours. There's a few of us. We love answering questions. We love being here for you guys. I have worked in several different research labs, and I have done 2 of the programs through this Office of Undergraduate Research. So I like to think that I know what I'm talking about a little bit. So nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Claire. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and then I'll just like go into more detail about stuff I shared in the last little session, and then we can take questions. Okay. All right, so this is our fun website that isn't working great right now, but it will do. So I want to talk a little bit more about UROP that I brought up in the last presentation we had. So I want to show you kind of all the application process, just because it is quite the process to apply. But basically what you're going to do, so if you decide you want to do UROP through office, you're going to prepare this proposal. And this is a 4 to 6 page double-spaced proposal. What we want in that proposal is these bullet points listed right here. So this is something you'd ideally work with your mentor on to write. And in an advising meeting, we could go over all of this in much more detail. But this is like the first step of applying to get funding for UROP. Over here, we have a ton of examples of like really good proposals of students who've got funding to do UROP through our office. And I encourage you to look through some of them just to kind of get a feel for what we're looking for in that proposal. We also have some nifty resources right here. We have a presentation you can watch and some other resources to utilize in writing that proposal. Step 2, you'd complete that application, which is putting everything you just wrote into it and filling out some more information. And then you're going to get an email that you'd actually forward to your mentor, who will confirm that they're working with you on that project. Just to make this clear, we don't actually review proposals in our office. Whatever college you're a part of, we actually send to them and they disperse to people to review. And this is kind of like the checklist that they look at when they're looking at your proposal. You can submit a draft proposal for review. Someone in our office will read it and give you feedback. I will say that we can't tell you your research is good or bad. We can just help you with like spelling and being more specific in some places, etc. The literature review part of that proposal, you and your mentor are really going to have to work on and make sure that's strong. But we will definitely look at this for you and give you some feedback. UROP is competitive, so we can award everyone that applies, but right now we have like a 75 to 80%, it might even be higher than that, acceptance rate. So don't be discouraged, always apply. Just know that we unfortunately can't fund everyone like we wish that we could. The other program that I kind of mentioned that I want to talk about is our summer program for undergraduate research, or SPUR. So this one was canceled this past summer due to COVID. We're hoping it'll be up and running next summer. We'll see where that takes us. But it's a 10-week research experience. So with UROP, you find a faculty mentor and you find that research experience that you two work on together and you apply. With SPUR, faculty mentors already have research experiences in mind and you apply to work with them. 10 weeks, 35 to 40 hours a week, and you get a $4,000 or $5,000 stipend. So this could be a good way to get a lot of research in like a short period of time, especially if you don't think you can fit research, in your schedule in the semester, this could be another opportunity to get that research experience over the summer if you have to like work full time or take a lot of credits over the semester. The other cool thing we have for students are these travel and small grants. Right now, travel grants are suspended for obvious reasons, but we're hoping they'll be up and running again in the future. They're for up to $500 and they'll cover anything related to travel, so conferences, lodging, etc. You can get one of those as a U student. And then we have our small grants, which they cover up to $200, and they'll help you with research supplies, special training fees, or whatever else you may need to do your research project successfully. You can get one small grant as a U student as well. Travel grants and small grants are competitive, so we encourage students to apply as often as you can and as early as you can. If you have a conference, let's say, that you can actually go to in December, we'd encourage you to start applying now. So if you don't get funding, you can continue to apply each month until December. We can only award things that happen in the future, can't have already happened. So one small grant and one travel grant as a U student. Small grants are up and running, so if you decide to do research, make sure you consider them because they are available for you. The other thing I want to highlight is our undergraduate research scholar designation, because I think this is a really cool thing that students don't always know exists. This is a designation you will get on your transcripts for doing research. So you're going to do 2 semesters of research. They don't even have to be through our office. You could do 2 semesters of research somewhere else across campus. You'll present at our symposium, which we'll talk about, and then you'd submit to our undergraduate research journal, which we'll talk about. Sounds a lot scarier than it is. But our symposium is one way that you can share your research that you do. We like students to do that. So well, it's virtual this year. It's usually in person in the ballroom, but you can do a poster presentation, an oral presentation, a performance, a visual arts, an exhibit, kind of whatever your heart desires. We let you present at the symposium. This is open to everyone across campus. So even if you're not doing research in our office, you can apply and present at this. We accept all types of research because there's so much of it happening across campus. The other thing then is our undergraduate research journal, which we keep open and broad because we know students can't always tell us what they're working on. Sometimes you work with a faculty mentor who's working towards publication and you can't share what you've been working on quite yet, and we get that. So you can submit a research paper, you could submit an abstract, or you could submit a narrative of like what you've learned and how it's helped you in your future career goals, etc. So I always encourage students to look at what others have submitted just to kind of get a feel, because we pretty much accept whatever you send to us as long as you and your mentor approve of it together. The last, I think, important thing to highlight is our undergraduate research education series. So this is open to all students across campus. It was held virtually this year. It is usually in person. But these are just things that help you do your research successfully. If you do Europe through our office, you have to attend 2 of these. Each semester you do Europe. You can pick the 2 that are interesting or the 2 that just fit in your schedule. But again, you can like attend these or view the recordings of them now, even if you're not doing research through our office, because these are very helpful to all students doing research. So one of the common questions we often get is, when's the best time to start research? There's no great time to start research. It's really up to you and what works in your schedule. If you feel like you can make it work, then meet with me and we can make that work for you. There is opportunities open to everyone. It is not just for people in the health field or like the engineering field, which is often a common misconception. It just might be a little harder to find a research opportunity for you, but I promise you it's there. And if it's not, there's a faculty mentor to help you make sure that it's there. There is no good way to find a research opportunity is another popular question we get. I have ways that I show students in advising meetings, but really word of mouth is going to be your best opportunity. So if you take a class of faculty that you like, reach out to them and ask them if they can do, if they're taking on undergraduate researchers. We are a Research One institution. Research is happening everywhere across campus. So there's no bad way to do research or find research, but there's always research happening for you to find. Claire, do you want to add anything?
Just a little on finding research. Like Christina said, there's such a broad variety of ways that you can kind of either stumble upon it or find it. I know I found it once through doing a spur one summer, and that's how I got into one of my research labs. And my latest research lab is actually a professor I had through one of my classes. A lot of professors will take a class period and kind of tell you what they're doing outside of the classroom, what they're researching. And that's a really good point to kind of take note of and see, am I interested in that? And if so, that's a really easy connection. You can go, you can talk to them either right after their class or follow up with an email. That's a super easy way to at least start kind of getting used to talking to some professors who do research as well.
Does anybody have any specific questions for us? You can use the chat feature too. I am not sure about the freshman research initiative. Claire, do you know anything about that?
I do not. Is
1 second. Is that through, I'm not sure who shared this, is that through a specific college or department, or was it just something that was offered to freshmen? Okay, Lauren, I will get back to you on that. I will look into it and let you know. Emily, the proposal is based on the research you're going to be doing with your faculty mentor. So basically what that will look like is I encourage you to schedule an advising meeting with me so we can talk about this in more detail. Once you find that faculty mentor, you two will decide on the research you want to do. So what that means is you'll either do the research that they're already doing, or you'll work on a research project that's specific to maybe more what you want to do. Oftentimes students just kind of help the faculty mentor on the research that they're working on. And then you will write a proposal based off of that project that you kind of decide on together. Does that make sense? Anything to add, Claire?
I do know for the proposal, it's most likely going to be like, at least a lot of times, it depends on your field as well, but a lot of times the research you're going to be doing is going to be, there's going to be some background from what your professor or a grad student in their lab has already done. And there's a like section in your proposal where you kind of have to talk about like background information and research. So, and that doesn't necessarily have to be stuff that like you have individually done, but you're saying like, here's this research and here's where I'm going to take it. So yeah.
Thank you, Claire. You have to write a proposal if you join an already decided research project. So you only have to write a proposal if you want to do Europe and get funding through our office. I guess I should preface it as there's research happening across campus in a bunch of different departments and labs that have funding to pay you. So if that's the case, you can do research with them and you don't even have to think about us. Oftentimes, though, they can't pay you, and so that's where you'd apply for Europe to get that funding, and that's where you'd write that proposal. But if you're working with a lab and they have money to give you, how you go about doing that research project is really up to them. You only need to write a proposal if you're going to do Europe with our office.
I will say the proposal is more of you proposing that we should pay you for the research you're doing rather than here's a research idea I have. here's my proposal on that. So it's a little different wording in that you are definitely like trying to sell yourself and your project to be funded. But to do research in general, like Christina was saying, throughout any lab work, you don't necessarily have to write a proposal for us.
Yep. Yeah. It's just if you need, it's really just if you need that funding, you just make that case to us why we should help you do that research. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I have. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to send me an email. Oh, we have another. It pays you. So it's a $1,200 stipend that you get in equal chunks over the course of that semester to work those 120 hours. So it pays you to do the research with your faculty member, if that makes sense. Good question. I'll show you. Share my screen. Give me 1 second. Maybe. All right. So under the About Us on our website, you can, if that loads, there it goes. My contact information is right here. I encourage you to send me an email. Sometimes the Skype for Business working from home doesn't always work, but I answer my email within 1 business day, but oftentimes sooner. You can also email our general OUR email inbox, and I'll answer emails through there as well. Or you can call our office. That phone seems to be working just fine. But if you want to set up an appointment with me, best way to do that right now is just send me an email and we can find the time. And I'd walk you through everything, like a ton of detail, so it makes sense and you feel confident knowing that you can do research. Well, thank you all for coming. If you think of any questions, feel free to ask me through email or call me if you can get through to me. I might be able to answer it, and we can talk about all things research. Thanks for coming. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our little breakout session. Again, my name is Christina Trepanier. I'm the primary undergraduate research advisor for the Office of Undergraduate Research, and I also have Claire. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claire. I'm one of a few undergraduate research leaders. I've worked in this position for about a year now. I've also worked in 2 different research labs here at U and a research lab outside of U. And I've done both URL as well as SPUR. And basically we're here to help Christina and help you guys in any way we can answer questions about research, get involved in our programs, or getting involved with different mentors, talk to mentors, etc. Both using my experience and knowledge from this office. Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm going to open it up right away. Does anybody have any specific questions they want to ask? You can like unmute yourself, or you can use the little chat feature or whatever you'd like. Otherwise, I can like go into more detail about some of the stuff we have. It's really up to you. How do I find a research mentor? That's a good question. So let me share my screen. So there's really no great way to find a research mentor. I'm just going to preface it that way. But if you go, hang on. So under For Students Getting Started, we actually have this Search Undergraduate Research Opportunities database. So this is a way that you can actually search opportunities that are posted on our website by faculty. Whatever's posted on here is fair game. So as you can see, it's a really, really, really long list. I don't expect you to actually sift through all those. you could use this nifty little search feature and kind of look through them that way. So that could be one way you could find faculty mentor or research opportunity, because you click in, it'll give you the name and their email, and then it'll also give you a description about the project that they posted, etc. The other way that you can do it is if you just go to utah.edu and you go to college and departments, you can actually go through like the department's web pages, and they all have faculty profiles. So I always use biology as an example because they have really nice faculty profiles. But if you go under people and faculty, this is where they'll have like all the faculty that teach within the biology department. And if you actually click like on a name, it will bring you to their research statement, publications, their research interests, and sometimes they'll even have like a Google Scholar page. So if you go to Google Scholar and you search maybe one of their publications, and I can show you. If you search this nifty little publication, it will actually take you to this specific publication, but see how their name is underlined? It'll actually bring you to their Google Scholar page. So I'm showing you this because this is a good way to, like let's say you're a freshman and you haven't taken many specific classes within your major or your department. You can start looking at faculty on their profiles and start looking at their research articles that they have posted to see if that's a good fit for you. The other way, and this might be the best way you can do it, is let's say you take a class with a faculty that you really, really like, send them an email and ask them if they're taking on undergraduate researchers. We don't have one perfect way to tell you how to find a faculty mentor. It's really up to you, but I can try to help you kind of along the way, and by giving you little tips and tricks. So if you schedule an advising meeting with me, that is something that we can talk about a little more detail as well. Anything to add, Claire?
Not really. I think that's all like kind of the best ways to at least get started also. And we can also help you in our office to draft emails to these mentors or prospective mentors if you just have absolutely no idea how to even start an email saying, "Hi, can I work for you?" We have some little outlines that we can help you with. So if you're worried about that, definitely reach out to us as well.
Okay, Claire, I'm going to let you take this question. For engineering students, is it difficult to juggle school and research?
Okay, so yes, I am a mechanical engineering student. I actually started in biomedical engineering, and then a year and a half in, I switched my major. So as you can imagine, I have kind of doubled down on my course load to try to graduate. Along with that, I have been doing research since freshman year. And I definitely think it's definitely doable. It's the engineering course load. Yeah, it's kind of a lot, but it's nothing outrageous. It's nothing absolutely crazy. You can definitely do research. A lot of professors, if you're just volunteering, they can require as little as like 5 to 10 hours for if you do a project through one of our like UROP or SPUR. Well, SPUR is the summer one, but if you do UROP, generally it comes out to between like 10 to 12 hours a week, which honestly isn't that much. And a lot of times your mentors are very flexible with your schedules. I know there'd be some weeks that maybe I have like 3 midterms in 1 week. And so I just go to my mentor and say, "Hey, this week is crazy." And generally, in my experience, they're all really chill about it. They're like, "Okay, don't come in this week, like focus on your school." They know school is hard. They know whether it's engineering or other, they know your classes are not the easiest things in college. And a lot of times they're your professors also, so they understand some of your course load. Um, so I've never found it that difficult to juggle it. It's pretty easy to pick and choose your schedule to have either a few hours every day, or maybe you just have one day where you have like 5 hours that you can go in. It really does depend on the mentor, but from my experience, I've been able to do it. Along with that, I work as an undergraduate research leader. I work as an honors ambassador. I've also done intramural soccer. and I volunteer with SWE. So you can definitely be parts of a lot of things. It always sounds daunting, but once you really start getting into it, getting into school, you have a lot more time than you think you do.
Thank you. That was perfect. Thank you for sharing that. Also, to add, just real quick, like Claire said, it depends on your faculty mentor, and that's something that you and your faculty mentor in a meeting would work out together. What kind of time commitment you have. If you do year up through our office, we expect you to work 120 hours over the course of the semester. But how you spend those 120 hours can vary every week, and that's really up for you two to figure out. If you don't do year up or any funding through our office, you and your faculty mentor can kind of run with it free reign. It kind of just depends on the lab that you're working in. Can a professor that you know request to have you specifically assigned to their research? Yeah, they can reach out to you and just ask if you want to do research with them. You don't really get assigned to research. You kind of just find that faculty mentor and work with them. But if they really like you, they'll definitely ask you if you want to do research with them. We are a Research One institution, so it's happening everywhere across campus. And so faculty are doing a ton of research, and they're also expecting undergraduate researchers to work with them. So don't feel like it's like awkward and uncomfortable. They're expecting emails from you. They're expecting you to ask to take on the projects with them. And if they really like you, they'll definitely ask you to work with them. So
A little on that also, if you really like a faculty or a teacher, definitely don't be afraid to reach out. And another thing, almost all of your faculty are gonna hold like office hours. And my little inside advice, if you really like a teacher, you want to work with them, go to their office hours and just talk to them. Let them know you, get to know them more. And you can talk about their research and whatnot. And that's going to be a really good way to also have them possibly offer you a position or request to have you work in their lab.
it's also a really good way to find if they don't have research opportunities for you, they might know someone that does. So that's another good way to find that research mentor as well.
Mhm.
Are there any other specific questions, or does anyone want to like talk more specific about some of the programs we have? You can let me know. I can share my screen with you again. Um, as always, though, make sure if you're really, really interested in starting research or just wanting to learn more, schedule an advising appointment with me so that we can spend more time talking about all of this because there is a lot to cover that we're just not going to get through in a time like this. Plus, then you can come with really specific questions that we can work through together as well. And I can share my screen and just show you how to find my contact information. So if you go to About Us, we'll take you to all of our contact information. So I'm Christina Trepanier, undergraduate research advisor. So there's my email. We have this little button right here that says make an appointment. That should take you to a page and you should be able to make an advising appointment with me. But we noticed that we're having some trouble with that. So if that doesn't work for you, just send me an email and we can set something up that way. Or you can email like our general OUR email and I can answer you that way as well. You can call me. Sometimes my Skype for Business doesn't work, so if I don't answer, don't be alarmed. If you'd rather talk on the phone, call the general office number up over here. That is the only one we can really get to work, so then someone can help you that way as well. But I suggest just try to schedule an appointment with me via email, and we can talk about all things research because we do have a lot to offer. Otherwise, if nobody has any questions, that's all I have. Claire, do you have any? Does anyone have any research fair days? I don't know. Do we have? I don't think we have specific research days. We go to a lot of events, though, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, the the U doesn't necessarily like we don't. It's not like we have like career fairs where it's like all people from around the school come and they're like, "This is the research we do." Um, but I think a large part of that is that like our school is ginormous, and trying to fit all of those research projects or faculty who take undergrads is kind of insane. Because we do a lot also with the school or the School of Medicine. Um, so things that are outside of just your like typical undergraduate research. So we don't. Um, I think that's kind of along the lines of like, how would you find a mentor or a research project or something? And I think since we don't have that sort of thing, I do think the best way is to kind of go into these like faculty areas, and they'll have either the labs they're part of, um, or the projects they're a part of. And I think that's kind of the better way, because we don't have that sort of research fair thing. Um, Also because it's not like there's certain hiring days for research labs. Like you could potentially join a research lab halfway through the semester. It's not like you have to be joined by the first day of the new semester. So it's all just kind of like a whenever you can do it. Um, yeah.
The other thing I can say, and I'm going to share my screen with you again, surprise, but if you go under events and you go to our undergraduate research symposium, this can be a good way to just see research that's happening across campus. So it was virtual this year, so you can click on it and view all the research that was done virtually. But this could be a good way. It's not really a fair, but it's a way to see like what other students are doing across campus. And oftentimes they'll have their faculty mentor listed. So if like what they're doing is of interest to you, that could be another way to just reach out to someone and find that opportunity. That might be like the biggest, I'd say, fair we have of like research all in one place, because this is open to everyone across campus. So you don't even have to do like Europe and get that funding through our office. You could be doing research with another lab that's paying you, and that's great, and you can still present at this. So that would be the only other thing I'd add to that. Can you do independent research? Yes, I don't see why you couldn't. To do research, like to get the funding through our office, you have to be with a faculty mentor. But you can do independent research also with a faculty mentor, in that you create the research project you want to work on and they just guide you through it. So you could do research on your own, that's totally acceptable. But if you want to create like your own research project with a faculty mentor, that's also something that you can do.
I have one more thing I was just thinking about for in terms of juggling school and research. If you are worried about that, I highly recommend starting a lab and volunteering first, where your hours are going to be more flexible. You can only get Europe for 2 semesters, and you have a lot of semesters within your 4 years here, or 4 more. And so there's definitely not going to be like a foul play or something. If you volunteer for 1 semester, realize, wow, I have so much time. I could definitely do Europe in this next semester. Honestly, you probably have a better chance of getting Europe because you can write a stronger proposal because you're already in the lab, you know your mentor. And so I definitely recommend volunteering as well, especially if you're worried about the time commitments and stuff like that.
And how do you find a lab to volunteer at? Kind of the same way you find a faculty mentor. Really just looking again at you can look at our research opportunities database and maybe not apply to that specific opportunity, but reach out to that faculty and say you're interested in volunteering. Again, looking at faculty profiles, talking to faculty during office hours or after class. A lot of students do start out volunteering anyway before you can do Europe. Not always, but I'd say a lot of our students do that, just again to make sure you have that kind of time commitment to do then the Europe and get the funding and all that. So finding a lab to volunteer at is pretty much the same way as finding a faculty mentor that can help you through that process.
Honestly, sometimes it's easier to find a lab to volunteer at, because not all faculty mentors have like money they can give you. And that's a big reason why we're here too, to do Europe, so you can get paid for some of this work that other research faculty mentors can't pay you for. But honestly, like, they're always looking for more help. They're always trying to do too much. And if they're not, then they have grad students who are looking for help within their labs. And so if you approach them saying that you're also interested in volunteering and then potentially getting Europe, they're going to be very open to that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They definitely need the help. So don't
Mhm.
feel like it's awkward. They also need you as much as you need them. Well, I can just add before our time's up that there's research opportunities for everyone across campus. That's one thing we often get asked. There's that common misconception that it's for like health students or bio students or engineering students. It's not the case. There's opportunities for everyone. Our office works with all colleges and departments across campus. There isn't just like only one that we work with. It might not be easy to find, but don't be discouraged because we can find it. And sometimes that means creating a research project with a faculty mentor who's there to help you through that. So you can do research if you really, really want to, will really, really help you. Also, know that our office is here to fund you if a lab can't. So let's say you work with a faculty mentor who is a part of this lab that has money to pay you. That's great. You don't even have to think twice about our office. But if you don't, or if you work with a lab that doesn't have money to pay you, then you can consider getting funding through us so you can do that research, which is oftentimes the case. And unfortunately, not everyone has money to pay you to do research with them. But that's why our office is here. So if you find a faculty mentor and you really want to work with them, but they don't have the funding, definitely set up an appointment and I can walk you through Europe in more detail on how you can get that funding. We also do have that spur that I kind of mentioned in the last presentation, which I don't want to talk about a ton because we don't know where it's going to go in the future just because of COVID. But if you are afraid you can't commit during the semester and we get spur up and running, then definitely do it because it's over the summer. And you work for 10 weeks, 35 to 40 hours a week, and you get a $4,000 or $5,000 stipend over the course of those 10 weeks. So that will help you do that research and it kind of pays you so you're not like without a job over the summer. But it's a good way to get that research experience if you just know you can't do it during the semester. So we offer that as well. Spur is a little different though. So with Europe, you find that faculty mentor and you find that research project and you work on it together. With Spur, they already have the experience in mind and you just apply to that specific experience. And then if you get awarded funding, you work with them on that project. So it is a little different in that capacity, but it's still a really, really good research opportunity that's available to you. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. If that just makes more sense for you, that's totally fine. And research is happening everywhere across campus. So in an advising meeting, I can show you, I have a little template that I share with students on how to reach out to faculty and what you could put in that email because it can feel awkward and uncomfortable. But I promise you, they're expecting these emails. It's not weird to them. So we are a Research One institution. Faculty does have to do research, and they love having undergraduate students help them with that research. So I think that's my little tidbit. Anything you want to add, Claire, before we run out of time?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that's about it. I definitely will say doing research is awesome. And I think it's a really good supplemental to all your schoolwork and stuff. And yeah, school gets crazy, tests get crazy, but being able to go do something else that could help you in your tests, could help you with applications, um, is honestly really nice. It's a nice little break while still feeling like you're being productive.
And it looks really good on your resume, and it can lead to a lot of other opportunities that you just never know about. So something to consider. If anyone has any last minute questions, feel free. Otherwise, that's all we have for you. You can send me an email, schedule an appointment with me, and we can talk about all things research. Even if you're not ready to do research, I'm still more than happy to talk about it with you.